Good afternoon. Let's say what we will be talking today is even more complicated than what Tomáš said before, because I would like to point out the many different, let's say, perspectives which we many times doesn't observe, doesn't understand, but I saw a lot of these and specific cases during my last 30 years. I was 6 times in the Olympic Games and many times in different World Championships, so got experience from different sport discipline. I have to say that maybe ice hockey was not always the best represented in my work. Well, I had a lot of experience with the specific ice hockey players, but never with the whole team. Even we cannot say that the Slovenians were not good, because especially in ice hockey we are all the time inside the best group or on the border of the best group. So that means among, let's say, first 10 countries or 12 countries in the world. So if you compare this to the 2 million people, and let's say how many well organized hockey clubs? None. Well, I'm joking. Yeah, perhaps 2. So many times you can see that the quality doesn't come out of the selection, but especially when you don't have enough players, you have to make a kind of miracles, of course. So we will talk about ethics in sports. Let's say in the beginning we can start with the different stories of success. So when you see how many followers have, let's say, Ronaldo or Luka Doncic now at the moment, or whoever who is very important in the world of top sport, we can see that the athletes become really important role models for all young people. And if I ask you, what do you know, for example, about Ronaldo? What do you know? Yeah, the fake, that the second, the fake one, they say, the fake one. What do you know about Ronaldo? Sorry? Yeah, okay. What we know is what we get from the media and what the media report about the top athletes. What they report. Results, nothing what is really important in terms of why they succeed this success. So it is not about hard work, because this is boring for reporting. It's about what they know. People know about Ronaldo. The man will know about his cars, sport cars and girlfriends, and I don't know which one is more cars or girlfriends. What women know about Ronaldo? They will say he's handsome, and no, okay, maybe you don't like him, but most of them, they will say he's handsome, he has a lot of muscles here, because whenever he gets goal, he puts his shirt down and show these muscles. So, but that's not important. Why he became so good? There's nothing about the tactics, how they train them, how many hours he spent in, let's say, in the gym or whatever. So it is very important.
Did he show how he was running in life during the night?
Yes.
With bodyguards and friends.
Yeah. So, but this is again not important. Why he's good in football team? So the media doesn't get the right picture of the top athletes. And this is because this is not what the young people want to hear, that you have to work so many hours. So we will see that that also causes a lot of problems. And many athletes doesn't know that they really become strong models. We are producing idea how to put very new idea in Slovenia with the slogan, be good, be cool, how to put this into the top football players in one meeting in the UFA. In Geneva, we are still deciding if we can come together with a specific project, because the football players has a really great impact. And of course, it's all the same for the top athletes across the world and inside the nationality. So we will talk about the stories of success, and we should not forget that the top sport is much different than it was 30 years ago. You still remember the differences is when the top players were not allowed to play on the Olympics. Why? Because they said they are professionals. Who's now not a professional inside top sport? So the best football players were not allowed to play on the Olympics. The best hockey players were not allowed to play in the Olympics. On the other side, I don't know, the best guy in athletics, in track and field, let's say, he was the Olympic winner in one discipline, and he got, let's say, at that time, that was 20 years ago, let's say 100,000 euro Deutsche Mark at that moment for one performance for Grand Prix in Geneva, let's say. So it was a lot of different rules which didn't come out of sport, but which come out of the organizations. And we will also talk about how different rules can affect the idea of what is wrong and what is right. Okay. Let's see what can happen and why we have to discuss all this, let's say, bad and good role in sport. Many times athletes try to choose shortcuts, which are many times illegal, morally unacceptable and non-ethical, bad for sport, but many times they also choose some, let's say, alternatives in behavior because they are forced to do it. We will see through the lecture different situations we never, let's say, we didn't think about in this situation. We can follow some of them. Let's say we shouldn't forget that all sport managers became a role model, and most of the sport managers, they came from sport. They were active athlete. Why? Because they love sport, and because in many situations the sport is not a company. It's not organized the same as Tomasz said before. So especially in Slovenia, most of the sport organizations become, let's say, or were started as a voluntary work. So it's quite different. So just the people who really loved that sport discipline started to do this. So we can see that the sport managers can be a very important factor. Then, of course, all the leaders in sport, all the, let's say, experts in the sport, coaches, especially coaches, are the most important people in sport. And what are the, let's say, the behaviors that can be connected to the wrong behavior, to the idea of what is wrong, what is bad in sport? Doping, cheating, sexual harassment, developing over-aggressiveness, developing social unacceptable norms and behavior, emphasizing specific disease and illness. I don't know if you remember, let's say 15 years ago, that was a big problem in ski jumping, because most of the ski jumpers develop eating disorders because of the rules, which of course organized together with the top motivation of the athletes, nice environment for this eating disorders. And we have a lot of similar situations. So we will discuss all this and try to see what can be done. Why? Because we still have, every year we have some different bad, sad stories which has a lot of impact on the people. I just wanted to point out, let's say, Marion Jones. What was the sad story about Marion Jones? She was one of the rare athletes who admitted all her sins. And she was really punished with everything possible. And on the other side, you have the famous guy Marco Pantani, who died because of the abuse of all these not allowed, let's say, hormones and whatever. So this is just one part, but it is, let's say, the confirmation that the challenge for us that we have to do something systematically. Here we come to the hockey. Ice hockey, it's a lot of over-aggressiveness, you know. It's a little bit better now than it was, let's say, 15 years ago. I'm not so familiar directly how many years back happened a little bit more, let's say, the tendency to reduce the aggressiveness, especially in National Hockey League. But you know why? This interest, how to reduce aggressiveness, why this interest was, or when it was satisfied, when it happened to change the behavior to less aggressive. Do you know what had to do? What had to, let's say, what was the cause of these changes?
Some big injury or something.
Yeah, but not big injuries. The problem was insurance companies who were not ready to support people because they had to pay so big amount of money for these injuries. And then they were ready to really reduce the aggressiveness. Before, they didn't want to do it. Why? It's interesting to watch, of course. Yeah, the money helps. But of course, that was not the right reason. You know, so we have to do something. And it's not only in ice hockey. We have in box. We have in football. I'll show you this movie, probably you remember, from the World Championship. Do you remember why happened this? Yeah, that was the idea, of course, why he got angry. But why, if you fight, what part of the body you use in the beginning? When you, no, normally. No, mouth is verbal aggression, but when you have physical contact, first you need, yeah. And then if you're not able to use this, what do you need? What do you use? Legs. And even then, if you are tight and you cannot do it, then you will make with the head. Why he did it with the head?
Because he's a football player.
No, you saw a lot of fights also in hockey, in,
Can I jump in?
yeah.
Just to avoid the doubt, Materazzi is the bad guy here.
Yeah, well, it was not understood in this way because the result of this this act, they lost. Let's say he finished career with a really sad way. The France lost the title of the world champion, and for the next 4 years, the France representatives, the national team, were really bad. So it was really a big, let's say, they had to pay a lot for this mistake. So, but why he did it with the head? He really had a problem here to understand all these threats, you know. So the best release was if he used the head, of course. Well, that was one of his quite rare mistakes. He was not well known by the, I don't know, affairs problems, but that cost him a lot, and it took him, I don't know, 10, 15 years to get back the best, the new best reputation. Okay, that's not the only situation. We will talk about the key theoretical principles, and we will see that at the end we will not have the clear answers. We will have even more questions. But what is the problem? In the theory, it is quite easy, everything. Then when we come to the praxis, it's quite different. Then we will have to understand that sport is a process. Let's say, this is not, here it's free to drive. And everybody drive here free. And now we put a traffic lights here. At every hour it's red light. So you're not, when it's red light, you're not allowed to go here. But before, there were no traffic lights. So we can compare this, what happened to Lance Armstrong. At the moment, it was all free. They knew that they use, especially erythropoietin, but there were no ideas how to control this. It was not possible to control this. So most of the people decided, I will use it, because it is not possible to discover this. And then, after 10 years, we have here traffic lights, red traffic lights. But we have 10 years camera video videos. Then we see that at 1 p.m. he was running there. There were no traffic lights. Now there are traffic lights, but it's very unfair to punish him now for what he did 10 years ago. Why he was driving here at the moment? Because there were no red light. And especially what is not fair, that you use just the sample of Lance Armstrong. You have, let's say, now they're changing something. Now you have 10,000 people who use doping, but because they were not so good, they didn't have their samples. Or because they're not so famous, they didn't check this. Now they're checking some samples from the Olympic Games. What happened 2 days ago, Slovenian national champion in 100 meters hurdles women. I worked with her for a long time, and she sent me the SMS, now I'm really mad. And I said, what happened? I found, now at the moment, they said that the girl who took me the last place to come to the semi-final in the Olympics in London, now they found her positive on doping. Now, after 10 years. It would be better not for me not to know this, because at that moment she was clear. Now after 10 years, London was 12, yes, okay. After 7 years, I'm even more mad because at that moment it was 0.01 second that I was not able to go to the semi-final in London. And now I know I had to go, but I cannot change anything. So it's a lot of dilemmas which is very hard to answer, and a lot of also law situations where people have different, let's say, perspectives, and they were not absolutely, let's say, discussed enough, not to cause more other problems. Then we have fair play, cheating, what is ethics, what is morality, what is learning process. We will discuss all this. Well, what is ethics? Ethics comes from Greek words ethos, which means character or human dispositions or science about morality. So ethics answer basic questions on what is good and what is bad, what is right and what is wrong. And it plays, of course, important role by the forming process of values in society, in this case, sport society. But the problem is, what is right for me could be wrong for you. And it's very easy. Even Aristotle's book about ethics, how is this in English? Nikomachova Etika. Yeah, Nikomach's ethics is talking a lot about this principle. This is good, but this is my right. And it's absolutely good if that goes together with, let's say, some general principles. But when this, fulfilling this, my goods, that means that you are not able to fulfill your goods, then it's not good. But it is good. Good here, good there, but when it come together. So it's a lot of different perspectives, and very sometimes in theory, it's quite easy. When we come to the practice in sport, we will see through the cases it's much more complicated. Morality is also very similar term. Well, it comes from Latin word moralis, mos, which is connected to personal habits and way of life. So in a way, it is again also connected to what is right and what is wrong, what is bad, what is good. Of course, according to the purpose, motives, intention. But we'll see it's very easy to confirm this in theory than in practice. Watch this video. From football. We don't have a voice. You know what happened? He's got a red carton, of course. Why? You'll see. But now watch from the other perspectives what happened. The guy came into the court, and a lot of people tried to stop him. You will see from the other perspectives. So, you will see. And that guy wanted to help people to continue the process of match. But he got red card. Why? Because in the rules it is written, if you make something bad to anyone on the court, for example, the rule is if the cat or the, I don't know, in front, the cock comes to you shouldn't touch him. You can touch him, but you be very careful. Even he will, I don't know, bite you or something, you have to be very careful. So he got the red cartoon, and the whole team was punished.
Here you have the rules. You have the case last year, I think, in Hungary, when the journalist, she was taking her feet out to stop the fugitives who were trying to cross the border illegally, and then she was sentenced in the end.
Uh-huh.
There is no
Yeah, but you see, the judge had to obey the rules. And what happened? What happened now? Now the whole team is punished, and how can then? So what I wanted to show you, that it's not so easy. It's very easy to say this in theory, but in practice, it's quite a lot of situations. Okay, I will give you also one more.
The morality of the referee.
Yeah, why?
And that is not in question.
Yeah, it's a good. Yeah, well, you shouldn't. You will see when we will have the idea of fair play. It is very strictly defined. That means I shouldn't do anything bad for the health, for the, let's say, like, let's say, putting his kick or something like this, to me or any other competitor around me, even the judge. So he did it correctly. The judge. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that is because the rules are not made. They didn't, let's say, anticipate such situation, and even more different situation we will see. So yeah.
Is there a rule, say the last rule is to use other rules with common sense? That would solve the problem.
Yeah.
Because the common sense tells me that there was a lunatic running.
Yeah, but you know, the rules are always. How do we come to the rules?
You agree?
It's what people, the group of people, important people say, and that's why. But of course, in psychology, they say we have different, let's say, moral states. We have different. For example, let's say your wife is really sick. She got cancer and she will die. But then there is one guy who invented the cure for that cancer. And you come there and you want to buy this cure. And the guy say, yes, I have this cure. Okay, I want to buy one for my wife, and he says it's about 500,000 euros. Oh, I don't have so much money. Well, it's 500,000, but this is just one bottle of the cure. Yeah, but it takes me a whole life, and my wife left me because I was just working all the time, and my children doesn't want to talk with me, so it's about 500. You don't need to use it. But if you want to take it, you need to give me 500,000 euros. So that guy said, well, I have an apartment. I can sell this apartment, but I cannot give you more than 100,000 euros because that's the value of the apartment. Well, this is not enough. The cure is 500,000 euros. So the guy went home and he was really sad, and he decided to steal this cure. Is this correct? What do you think?
No, but he was taking the responsibility.
But so, do you support him to steal the?
Support the cause, not the.
Do you support him to steal the cure? No. So it's not okay. Who would say that it's okay? Yeah, it's that's the very often situation. If it is my wife, then it's okay. But if this is your wife, then it's not okay. That's the lowest level of the moral. So what is good for me, this is right. What is good for others, this is wrong. No. So you said, okay. What about if I tell you this is not for wife, this is for my mistress? Still okay. Okay. This is not for wife. This is not for my child. This is for the prisoner here in the biggest prison in Slovenia. What do you think?
Doesn't matter because life for individual.
Life is life. Okay, but well, the prisoner was a raper, and he raped a lot of children. What will you say now? Sorry? Okay, yeah, I wanted to tell, with such exercises, we try to find the level where you are on the development of moral decision. We have some general, so the life is normally at the top of the all right. So with the life, almost everything is less important. And it's, of course, no differences between the wife and between the prisoner.
Depends on the environment.
Yeah, of course. This is what the rules accept, of course. The rules are always formal, let's say, writings about the group which is important on that area.
I've seen an interview with the father of the child who was killed by Breivik.
Yes.
He said, I have no right to take the perpetrators.
Yeah. Why?
But if you would ask the
Yeah,
same
because-
question in the Balkans,
Yeah. But this is not always. It's not always like this. It's about the level of the moral development of the individual. Someone who is low on that moral judging, he will of course react in different way. I just wanted to tell you, to show you that it's not so clear. Again, one important, let's say, challenging situation. That guy in the middle, he's the famous Slovenian competitor in kayak, wild water. He's, I think, twice or three times world champion. He many times, let's say 5 times European champion. Then he won silver medal in last Olympics in Rio. But that guy on the right, many times he was the top athlete, Slovenian top athlete of the year. But that guy on the right side, he was once also, well, he should be the top athlete of the year in Slovenia, but the best Slovenian boxer got this title. Even he was not, that was not the right decision, because he was maybe the 6th, the 7th in the world in all categories together. But this guy was second on European championship and the third in the world championship. And he also in the one season got the one, he was winner of one World Cup competition. That guy, he had the luck that he lived together in the same years with Peter Kauser, those in the middle. Why? Because it is allowed only one people to go to the Olympics from each discipline. So he was many times winner of the World Cup, but he was never able to go to the Olympics. So he spent, I think, 25 years of training and was medal holder from World Championships or European Championships, but had luck that he lived at the same years with Peter Kauser, who was even better, but not every year. So the only way for him to go to the Olympics was that he got the other nationality. So he went to Olympics as a member of Azerbaijan team. They gave him the nationality, and with this competition, Olympics, he finished the career. But this is, and a lot of people in Slovenia were, let's say, they didn't understand this, and they said, how could he compete for Azerbaijan? And that's not his problem. That's the problem of the rules, because they force him to do it. It is impossible for him, let's say, to go to the Olympics is really one of the challenging goals for all athletes. And even he was, let's say, the second in the world, it was impossible for him to go there. So it's really not so easy to understand or to transfer ethics from theory to the ethics in sport. Okay, let's go further. Maybe one more thought. The modern theory of evolution emphasizes that the basic function of morality is to sustain cooperative relations among people. But what is the aim of the sport? It is competition. It is only in group sport that we are talking also about cooperation. The idea of top sport is top competition. So it goes absolutely to the different direction than what is the idea of morality. So it is very impossible. Let's say we have qualification, national qualification, and we are training 4 years for one competition where just the best guy will go to the Olympics. So when we compete, and the sport should be really positive, and it is in many ways, but when the date is coming, people are really hard to stay very friendly to each other. Why? Because if you go to the Olympics, my dreams are over. So it's really hard to let's say, to develop the right morality in sport. It's quite different than in normal life. Well, what is also moral judging in sport? What has to be known? It affects actions on sport courts and outside. It affects fair play. And a decision, what is right and wrong, always depends on what we know about the play, what we know about my feelings, about other feelings, about our values, about attitudes. I remember one of my famous athletes, she also won a medal at the Olympics. She said, if I come to the final sprint together in the group, no one will win except me, because I am the only one who deserved this, because I did much more for that result than others. That helped her to reach the result, but you should understand, when in the beginning, many people say, when we are on the start, I'm watching around who deserves this result more than me, so it's about who's stronger, who's better, who's more aggressive, and that is very good, very, very hard to put together with the morality. What is fair play? Fair play, we have two dimensions of fair play. One is fair play as a personal responsibility. And then we have a fair play as a concern of sport organizations and people who work in sport. Let's go first to the personal responsibility. So we have respect of the physical and psychological contact between participants. You see, this is the idea of fair play. Concerns, let's say, we said, respect the physical and psychological contact, concerns about their own and the opponent health. So let's say cycler, in cycling they use, let's say, not allowed substances, and they know they are not good for their health. So when you are in boxing and you see that the opponent has injury here, what do? You want to push him here because when the blood is coming down, then you will be a winner. But it is not together with the rules of fair play. Concerns about the opponent's health. So I'm showing you the problematic situations.
Is boxing at all meaning that?
Yeah. Accepting rule. What is also fair play? If force for achieving success and higher standards of performance. Do you see what is the famous downhill in World Cup? Kitzbühel. Is it ethics that they prepare this downhill always on the way that it is really very risky that a lot of competitors will get injured? Well, this is the attraction of the Kitzbühel. If there are a lot of falls and, let's say, awful injuries, that means that the downhill was really, let's say, something special. So accepting rules and judges' decisions. So fair play means if you are a judge, a referee, and you didn't judge the right way, I have to accept it. This is fair play. Even if you're not right, I have to accept it. And then, of course, developing self-control by winning, losing, and different. Then we have very important fair play as a concern of sport organization through rules. Forming rules. So in ski jumping, they changed rules, so they reduced the risk for eating disorders. That was a fair play according to the sport organizations. And many times they do the opposite. For example, if you make a Tour de France in a way, then it is made now, then you as a sports federation do everything that people will use drugs. Why? Because it's not normal. You know how many kilos of spaghetti should the cycler eat every day if he wants to get back the energy that he used for the cycling there? 42 kilos of spaghetti. It is not possible to get in a normal way. So if you make the competition in that way, of course you push people that they do something which is not unethical. So fair play is very important as a sport federations. They have to understand this, and they have to make, let's say, they have to take into account when they think about the money, let's say, the attractiveness of the sport event, but then on the other side, if it's possible to make this according to the frame of fair play. Controlling training and competition conditions. You see, ski jumping is very fair at the moment, because if the wind is changing, if the weather condition is changing, everything is counted. Let's say maybe there are still some problems about the formulas, but they put a lot of effort, and now it is not because of the wind that you didn't win the competition. And this is fair play which comes from the sport organization. Developing activities and programs which is suitable for, not for the best people, for the Paralympic games and I don't know, special Olympiads and different things. And then of course, controlling commercial and political influence, which is very important, because political and commercial influences many times push people into the wrong situations, wrong decisions. Okay, let's go. Just some famous case of cheating in sport. You probably remember Tonya Harding in ice skating. You know why this, let's say, terrible event happened? Ex-husband of Tonya Harding injured the best American ice skater Nancy Kerrigan, who then after that became golden medalist in the Olympic Games. You know why? Again, the same situation, because only one American was able to go there. The first Slovenian, we had Slovenian competitor there. She was, I don't know, 10 times worse than Tonya Harding, but she was able to go there because he came from Slovenia. So it is rules that push people to go and to accept wrong decisions. Then we have Spanish Paralympians who play, it was people with mental disorders, and at the end they became Olympic champions in Paralympics. At the end it was seen that only 2 of those people were really suffered from the mental, let's say, over the under the average, you know. All others were normal. Then, you know, the Dora Ratin, it was one of the first documented idea when the Hitler wanted to get the best guy in sprint, in women's sprint. So Dora Ratin was quite the guy for that time. He didn't even look women, you know, and he didn't get medals, even he was a man. So, you know, we have a lot of problems with the definition of sex in the sport. 30 years ago, you know how was the controlling of the sex? A group, you will control the sex, and then you had to put the trousers down and watch, this is a guy, this is a man, women. That was 40 years ago. Now, we have DNA. We have different people. You have half of the men, half of the women. How will you decide what is good? It was in London. We had really problematic situation in 40 meters women sprint, 400 meters. I think she's from South Africa or from, I don't know, Australia. The women, she really didn't look like women, you know. So everybody was satisfied because she missed to come to the finals. Okay, very interesting. Hand of God, those who love football. This is why the Argentinians came to the finals and then become world champions in 1978. Maradona got the goal, the last goal, 2-1 against England with the hand. So we have a lot of such. Rosie Roos, the famous girl who won the famous Boston Marathon, and she didn't run. She ran just a small part, then she was transferred with a car. And so she made a record that time, and then after that they discovered that she was not running, you know. So, and there's a lot of problems, gambling scandals with changing the results, you know. We have a lot of players in Slovenia who play from Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia in football. Let's say they are goalkeeper. They are not good paid in Slovenia. Or sometimes they are even not paid for 3, 4, 5 months. So they bet. They will, let's say, when they really have to win, they bet that they will lose. They bet, let's say, 1,000 euros, and they get 2,000 euros. So they, instead of being paid through the contract, they had to get this pay. This is not because they're so bad guys. That because they live here and they don't get salary, so they use how to survive. It's the sport organization who help them, they push them to do this because they cannot live here without any money. So it's a lot of things that has to be discussed. Yeah, doping, you know, I don't have now time to show the result about Alberto Contador, one of, again, so is it fair play in top sport? At least, is it possible? Fair play. in top sport means to strictly respect formal rules and spreading them into the sport behavior which is based on respect to other competitors and according to own health concerns and other competitors' interests. Is it possible, especially in hockey? You will see it's very hard to do it. This is good exams of the sport. So what we do, what we want is that sport could be a good exams of ethics and good. So do we want such kind of aggressiveness on the courts? I found very famous Slovenian and Serbian basketball coach. No, this one, sorry, that one. Aha.
Sorry, that was the Bosnian coach.
Bosnian coach, Pesic.
From Sarajevo.
Aha, Bosnian coach, okay. Yeah, okay. So, okay. I will show you also the situation from hockey. The coach from Florida, I think it's what is now? There's no talk, I don't know, but the picture will show you. It's, I think now he's a coach in Florida, I think, that guy. He lost his tempers, you will see. Yeah. So he of course, he was punished, but that's not the only guy. You will see the other guy. And don't forget that all people in sport become really important role models. This is not what we want. You see, okay, now he was punished again. Okay, this is a good behavior. So if you do something wrong, you have to be punished. That is good message, because people who maybe could agree in the beginning, at the end see that this behavior is punished. Then it's much less possibility that the behavior will be repeated after that. Okay, in football, very famous Fabio Capello in the desk of England team. But we have to admit that World Football Federation, and especially European Football Federation, works a lot about how to contribute to reduce all these negative behaviors. So the football is really quite far. It's really quite far. Okay, I still have one hockey. No. So it looks funny, and for the audience, why would we change this? Because it is one of the most interesting part of the hockey game. But of course, that doesn't support the idea that sport is a developer of good habit. So it is presented also here and now. This is the Slovenian coach a few years ago in basketball European Championship. Look what he does. What he does to Edo Muric. So this is not okay. The head coach on the timeout in the European Championship, he did this. This is not acceptable, of course. And we were talking a lot about Slovenian coach in handball. We got the bronze medal in World Championship, but a lot of players doesn't want to play for the national team because when the Slovenian guy, the coach who came from, I think he's from Serbia or Montenegro again, yeah, he says, I will kill you, I will kill all of you. And the players who are 35 years old, they don't want to hear that you will kill me if you don't do this, if you don't make a goal. So this is not acceptable. And he made a result, but now, the next year, we lost all important competitions. It is not acceptable, and people will not accept such behavior. So we have to help in the federation in a minuti cončam. So we need this if we want to be, if we want to let's say, to spread positive things. I have here the movie about Petra Majdic and how he won the bronze medal in Vancouver with 5 broken ribs, but we don't have time. So what will I tell you at the end? The dimensions of fair play which has to be considered is fair play as a group of skills. So how we should develop the fair play among the athletes. Then what is fair play as a game? What kind of games we have to organize that we will not push people to behave outside of the frame of fair play. Competition, respecting rules, a contract. We know when you are a part of, when you go to the Olympics, you sign the contract that you will not cheat. That means also you will not use doping. All athletes has to sign. And you get some money for the preparation season, just that season when we have Olympic Games. And it was twice in the history that the athletes should return the money because he was caught being under doping. Okay, at the end, this one, I will show you that it is possible also to spread positive decisions. You see what happened in this? The goal, the players was returning the ball to the goalkeeper, but instead of returning to the out, he made a goal. It was not on purpose, because of the foul, because of the injuries, they had to, if we repeat this, they had to, you will see, that was the break because, and that guy wanted to return, and it was not on goal was not on purpose. What to do now? We have the rules. Now the judge, the referee had to say, okay, it's 1-0. And he wanted to return ball back. So it is possible that the players find the solution. In this way, you will see, in this way, you will see that the players found the solution, and the referee had to say it was a goal because it was regular. So they find the solution, you see. Well, it was not absolutely 100% good solved, but at the end you see. But this is when we develop really the right ethics, people will help to correct the possible mistakes which can be done because the rules never predicted all possible situations. Okay, at the end, what are the directions for the future? We have to understand that we need to affect associations to create fair environment. It is not just to strictly define the rules and to, let's say, teach athletes how to play according to these rules. We have to define the environment which will not push people to go into the wrong zone. And maybe just one positive experience. It was 10 years ago. I was in a kind of sport academy which comes from the military. It was in Prague. And that was the beginning of the crisis between the United States and Iran. And every day it was in the reports that the United States might, let's say, go to Iran and, I don't know, the war can start. But there in the Prague, I saw that the people who were concerning about sport in military, people from Iran, not Iraq, Iran and the United States, they sit there together. They were all in soldiers' equipment, you know, and they were talking. And the people from Iran came all the time to those guys from the United States and asked how they developed the sport inside the army. So there were no hateness among them. The hateness was just among the national level. But the people, and when you see this, then you see that sport really can contribute to the, let's say, positive relationships. And we have to organize everything in that way if we want to, let's say, contain the role of sport in such way. Okay, thanks you for the attention. I was a little too long.